Hey, Taco here. I just wanted to go over a couple of my most recent flights. I had a great pre-Christmas week. I got to fly on the 20th, the 22nd, and 24th. So out of a week, I got to fly every other day, which was amazing, especially here in South Carolina where the weather can be a little bit bipolar. It'll go from freezing to 70 degrees in a matter of days this time of year. So had a great series of flights, and I just wanted to talk about some of them instead of doing a voiceover for every single one. So for the first one on the 20th, what y'all will see is when it starts off, there's a lot of smoke coming from my motor, and I've highlighted that in the video. And so you'll see all this smoke coming out of the back. And what that is, I run a PPG smoke system, and I think I had the flow rate turned all the way up instead of all the way down. And I'm not sure I did that because I never intended to turn it all the way up. But you'll see my motor smoking a lot. So that was one issue that I had to solve real quick. And my silencer packing on the end of the muffler has gotten saturated with that smoke oil, which I call Diddy oil. And so that's why it keeps smoking a lot, even when I'm not pushing the button. The second thing is bump tolerance. I'm getting more and more used to crappy conditions. And in the video you see, on the 20th particularly, I'm shaking all around and still smoking. And so it was kind of trashy air, not too bad. I've seen worse and I've landed, but I'm getting more used to it. And then the third thing I started doing on the 20th was learning, not full practicing, but learning some glider energy. So with the intent on getting better and trying some asymmetric spirals. So as Tucker God explains in his videos, you pull a little, you come out, you pull a little more, you come out, you wingtip to the horizon, come out, wingtip to the horizon. So that's kind of what I'm starting to learn. Now, did I do it very much on the 20th? No. And so it's not a true asymmetric spiral, but it's learning when to pull, when to release, and then as you swing back through the arc, when to pull again. So I was playing with that a little bit, but it was kind of bumpy. And then the last thing you see is my really crappy landing. And I'm not sure what I did. I think I tripped. So I had a terrible landing there at the end.
Okay, I think
I had my feet out, and maybe I didn't pull enough. Oh, I do remember. I pulled too much. And I kind of ballooned up, and I'm waiting, and I come down kind of rough, and I trip and fall on my face. December 22nd, I actually did not intend to fly that day. The air was supposed to be a little bit bumpy. I've been having problems with my motor. I warm it up on the ground, I run it up, and then it'll cut off before I can fly. And I was having trouble keeping it going. And so what I did was I did a little bit of carburetor tuning, and you see in the video I'm kind of test running it, and then following some directions I've seen online about how to know what's right and what's wrong. So I kind of did some carburetor tuning, and all I did was I turned the lower screw, or the low end screw, just a little bit to the right, so just slightly lean. Not even not even more of a turn than, say, the width of the screw head, the width of the slot in the screw head. So like a minute or two lean. And so I went flying after that, because Jake came down and said the air was amazing. And so now you see me up there practicing more with the asymmetric spiral entry. So pull, relax through the arc, pull again. And it's amazing how you can really feel sort of the energy in the glider as it's swinging around. You're feeling it. Even when you're holding it still, you're feeling it kind of do this number back and forth. And so there's like an energy gain and an energy loss, and an energy gain and an energy loss. And it's really interesting to be able to feel that. So in nice smooth air, you can feel that a lot better than you can when it's bumpy. So I was a lot happier with my second attempt at that than I was my first, because you need smooth air to be able to feel actually what's going on with the glider. And we've discussed it before, and he gives me my first wingtip bump. So in paramotoring, that's kind of a way to say, you know, hello to your fellow pilots. And I had given him a signal. You know, now you don't just go up and wingtip somebody without letting them know what's going on. And it's not something I would do very often, but it was something that I've never done before that I thought would be kind of fun. And I saw him coming up close, and I gave him a signal, which is not on the video. But I give him a signal, I point to my wingtip, and then I do this. And he comes right up, because I could tell he wanted to do it. He's wanted to do it before. And so he comes right up and just bumps tips with me, and then I peel off to the right. So that was kind of a really nice, fun thing to do. Now, I'm coming in for a landing a little bit later, and he surprises me again. He comes and he does it again. So that was a little bit of a surprise to me. I didn't expect it. I'm concentrating on, like, okay, I'm coming down to the runway. I'm gonna zoom along the runway and kind of come back around for another pass. And he wingtip bumps me again. So I did see him coming, but it was one that I wasn't prepared for. And finally, on my last landing that day, I messed that one up, but not intentionally. It wound up being a great landing, unfortunately, because it's not the kind of landing I want to do. See, what happened was, I came in, and I'm always pulling too early, and so if this is the ground, I pull too early, and instead of coming down nice and smooth at a constant rate, touching down and then running, I'll come down and I'll balloon up, and then kind of hold, and then run out of energy and splat. So I pull too early sometimes. So what I'm doing is I'm concentrating so much on not pulling early that I'm looking at the ground, not pull, don't pull, and I'm coming in. And then I actually start to, I come down and I touch, but I'm still coming down. So instead of getting to run, I come down and touch, and this leg folds under me, and I start to slide. Then I pull, and it stands me back up to the point where, so it was a crap landing, but it looked really like swift, but it's not the kind of landing you want to do. Finally, my last flight was December 24th. I fixed my smoke issue. I had a longer flight, had a great landing, full stop, standing up on my feet the whole time kind of landing. And then I got to play around a solar farm, which they're building. It's basically just a huge empty dirt field. And then, what is Flying Jesus? I keep saying this at the beginning of my video. What is Flying Jesus?
Okay, for my friend, midlife crisis. Here comes Flying Jesus.
Mid-flight crisis is like, that needs to be your new nickname, Flying Jesus. And I'm like, you know, that's fun. You know, it's a fun nickname, but it might put some people off. So what exactly is Flying Jesus? Which I keep repeating myself over and over at the beginning of this video. I've been having issues since I started when I'm gonna have to scooch over. So when you go to take off in a paramotor, you really want your arms as far out as you can get them. Now, the length of the risers kind of limits. You can't go straight out. It's because the length of the risers kind of limits you, but as far out as you can get. But what I've been doing, unfortunately, is more coming up strongman flex, you know, like you're trying to show off a muscle, instead of arms straight out. Flying Jesus, okay? They say you want to look like Jesus on the cross, arms as far out as you can get them. and that's the thing. But I've been doing strongman flex instead when I go to take off. So my friends keep reminding me, hey, less strongman, more flying Jesus. Okay, so that's what I started saying to myself. So when you take off, straight out. When you land, strongman flex. So that's what flying Jesus is make sure your arms are out. Okay, on this takeoff, what you'll see in the next little section, and I've slowed it down so you can see. When Jake took off, I was getting set up. Jake takes off and he's flying around like he does, and I'm getting everything set up when I realize I've got all my stuff on and I'm doing kind of a final check, and I look over and I realize I didn't Velcro my throttle cable to the hoop spar, which really isn't that important unless you start moving the throttle way back this way to do something like turn on my smoke oil pump. Then there's a chance the throttle cable could pop through the hoop spar and then get clipped by the prop, which could do one of two things: cut the motor all the way off, or yank on that inner core, get clipped off, and jam. In other words, it locks your motor on full. So then you have to fly around with your motor on full until you run out of gas, unless you can figure out some way to cut it off. Because if your throttle cable gets cut off, you lose your kill switch. So I forgot. So I take all my stuff off, and then I fixed the throttle issue. Then I put all my stuff on, but somewhere in there, my right-hand brake gets a twist around the pulley, and I don't recheck it. Everything was right the first time, and I didn't check my pulley. So when I take off, in order to take off in a paramotor, if you're not familiar, you give it full throttle while you're on the ground. You're running, and about time you can't run anymore, you pull on the brakes a little bit. That pulls the glider behind you, and it gives you that angle so you can actually take off instead of just running faster and faster. Because at some point you're not going to be able to run as fast as the thing is pushing you. Because it's pushing you at 15, 16 miles an hour. You can't run that fast. So pull on the brakes, the glider drops back, and you take off. See, what happened was, when I pull on the brakes, that little twist around the end of the pulley worked fine until I let go of the brake. Then it wouldn't untangle itself. It got stuck. And so what you see on the video is I pull on the brakes, and then okay, I'm starting to let go, but I'm realizing my right brake, although I'm letting go, I got a bunch of slack in the line. It's twisted at the pulley. So I have to real quick look up, and this is why I don't get in the seat as fast as I normally do. Normally, as soon as I start to give some of that brake back, I'm pulling my legs up and getting in the seat. This time I'm just hanging there because I'm looking up at it like, if there's a problem, I need to get off the throttle, come back in and land so I can figure out what the problem is. In this one, I pull, I look, oh crap, and I'm able to reach up and just flip the end of that line over the pulley. The brake releases, and so then I get in my seat. So if you'll take a look at this slow-mo video, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I release the brake. There's too much slack in the line. Whoa, what's going on? Oop, flip that little thing over the top of the pulley, and then I'm all good. At that point, I can start, the glider goes from a right turn over, starts to settle out, and at that point, I can get in the seat. Total screw up on my part, so just just something to remember. If you go to take off and something happens and you have to take your gear off, when you gear back up, treat it just like you got out of the, just like you got out of the car and you're ready to, getting ready to get set up and take off. And then you can see me in this next little section, fixing the brake completely. It had flipped over its own line. So total screw up on my part. Nothing bad happened, but just take it as a learning thing. Hey, if you take your gear off, when you put it back on, double check everything. So here I am flying over this, gonna be a solar farm, and the solar farm is really neat because right now everything's flat. Not only is there a solar farm, but right next to it are a bunch of fields that they've plowed under for the winter. So it's acres and acres and acres of totally flat land. So I'm gonna go around again and play around this field a little bit. There's no power lines except on the very far east side of the field where we're going to connect it to the solar farm. So there's no power lines. So it's a great field to practice getting down like treetop level or so and flying along, just because it's there's no obstacles to hit. It's a great open space and I love it. Unfortunately, they are building a solar farm, so before too long there's going to be solar panels on one end. And then of course once spring hits, they'll plow those fields up or till them up and they'll plant crops. So it's going to be a very short-lived sort of a project. My landing, I was really happy with my landing. This is a perfect Christmas Eve gift for me. I was really happy with my landing. Actually, I was trying to see if I could land where I wanted to from, say, 1,000 feet without using my engine at all. Had the engine cut off, I would have been able to land at the airport, but I would have been real short. So when I come over the trees, what you see is I use my engine just a little to get me farther down the field so I don't have to walk as much. But for the most part, I'm just kind of coming in straight on down from 1,000 feet. And then you see me come in and it's a great landing. I touch down with my feet, I run a few steps, and I turn and drop the glider. So it was a great landing. So that's about it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this review of my last few flights. I couldn't go yesterday or the day before, but today is the 28th. It's Sunday, and I'm hoping that Tuesday will be my next chance to fly. It's looking good right now, but as you know, weather's always changing. So Tuesday and Wednesday, so the 30th and 31st, I might get to fly again. So looking forward to that. Remember, rule 1, don't go splat.